The special favor of Allah. Awliya Allah. The universe is the body and its soul. Awliya Allah. Awliya
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulullah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurallah. Viewers of Madani Channel, welcome to this program yesterday, today and tomorrow. And in this series of programs, we'll learn from the past, we'll learn about the events that took place yesterday in our past, in our rich heritage that we keep on mentioning. And hopefully we'll learn some lessons from that so we can make a change today so we can have a better tomorrow, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal. And the reason why these stories of the past have been retained or kept for us is so that we can learn lessons from them. So whenever you hear of a parable or an event that took place, think to yourself, why was this story recorded? And it's recorded for a reason for us to benefit from that. But before we begin on today's topic, viewers of the channel, we're going to give you a blessing of reciting Durud Pak upon the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. The Prophet of Allah, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, is reported to have said that those who sit in such a gathering in which neither zikr of Allah azza wa jal is recited, nor Durud Pak upon the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, is recited, then on the day of judgment, they will regret sitting in such a gathering. Hence, if Allah azza wa jal wills, He will punish them. And if He wills, He will forgive them. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. How many gatherings do we sit into, viewers of the channel, in which the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jal is not mentioned, in which Durud Pak is not recited, in which nothing good is recited? Furthermore, worse than that, we sit in gatherings in which backbiting is taking place, gossiping is taking place, lying is taking place, looking for ways of cheating are taking place. All of these gatherings that we're sitting in. And the reason why we are told not to sit in these gatherings is so that we can sit in these gatherings which are beneficial for us. That we can recite Durud Pak upon the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We can do the zikr of Allah azza wa jal. Viewers of Madani Channel, please make a habit of reciting Durud Pak upon the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Make it part of your daily routine. Make yourself habitual upon it. Allocate a certain amount of time during the day, be it traveling to work, coming home from work, whatever it is, and inshaAllah azza wa jal, you benefit from it. And as we said before, viewers of Madani Channel, that one extra Durud Pak that you recite today might make all the difference on the day of judgment. And now, again, I've mentioned it before, I'm going to continue to mention this, but unfortunately, a lot of our viewers, even our viewers that are watching Madani Channel, there'll be a lot of viewers out there, and Muslims in general, we do not even know the Islamic months. We don't know what Islamic month we're in. Yes, we know when the month of Ramadan comes. Why? Because we're fasting and we're looking forward to Eid. We may know when Zul Hajj comes because it's the Hajj season and everyone's going on Hajj. But the rest of the months we don't know. And if, again, we were to pick up on our rich heritage and our history, then we should know them months because certain events took place during them months. 102 years ago, yes, I'm not talking about 500 years ago, 1,000 years, just 102 years ago, the great Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, he passed away. And he was a great scholar of the East. He was a great lover of the Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He was such a esteemed personality that his teachings, his legacy is still with us today, and people all around the world are benefiting from his life. And today, inshaAllah, as we do viewers of the channel, we're going to talk a little bit about his character. Viewers of the channel, character is everything in our lives. Even if you're speaking good, if you're speaking good in the wrong manner, in the wrong way, then when that comes across, it can come across in such a way that it has a negative effect. And so your character is what shines through. If your character shines through, then simple words can have a great effect on people. And today we're going to learn a little bit about the great character of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala. But when we hear these events that took place, we want to take lessons from them. I'm not just going to give you bedtime stories that you can recite to your children today and say, oh, wasn't that a good story? Wasn't it interesting? No, learn from these. And the first event that I want to share with you is that Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, he used to go and visit someone. And this person would also visit him. So they were obviously on some sort of friendly terms that they would go and visit each other. And one day, Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, he went to this person's house. And in India at the time, in the Indian subcontinent, they have what's called charpoys. And charpoys are basically low tables that are actually used for sitting on. People sit on these. People sometimes convert them into beds as well. They make beds on them, people sit on them. Or they're actually low tables or low beds as well that people sit on. And they put them in the yards and people sit on them during the day. Now, Sayyidi Ala Hadrat Rahmatullah, he went to visit someone. And when he was visiting these people, there were people coming in and out of this gathering. And a poor Muslim came. And he came and sat on one of the old charpais, one of the old beds, so to speak, yeah? And when this person sat on this old bed, this person who Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala had gone to visit, he looked at him in a stern way. And that person, he felt embarrassed by that. That, you know, he's looking at me that I'm not allowed to sit here, basically, that I'm sitting in a place that I'm not allowed to sit. And so out of embarrassment, out of fear, out of effectively being disgraced as well, he got up and he left that gathering. Now at that time, Sayyidi Ala Hadrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, he didn't say anything. He saw what was happening. But he didn't say anything. And what he did is, sometime later, that same person came to visit Sayyidi Ala Hadrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala. And when he came to visit him, whilst there were, the discussion was taking place, and there were other people there, a poor Muslim who was a barber, he came and he sat on the floor. And Sayyidi Ala Hazrat said to him, Brother, come here and sit next to him. Why are you standing? Muslims are brothers with each other, sit next to him as well. And so he made him sit next to that person who previously had looked down on a poor person, and by his eyesight, just by looking at him, he'd removed him from that gathering. And when Sayyidi Ala Hazrat made him sit there next to him, and he said to him, look brother, we're all brothers, we're all one family, there's no difference between me and you, come, let's sit together. What was he doing there? He was teaching that person a lesson. That look, you should not treat people like this. And this is what the ummah is about, that we're all one body. Who is to say who's the most pious in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jalla, who's the most important in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jalla? Nobody knows this. So Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, by inviting this person to sit next to him, he taught him a lesson. But unfortunately, sometimes even when great teachers teach you something, if Allah Azza wa Jalla is not giving you the tawfiq and the ability to take that message in, to take that information in, you will not accept it. And that person, when he saw that this poor person is sitting next to me, this poor barber is sitting next to me, he got up out of disgust and he left that gathering. And he said that after that, neither did Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala go and visit him, and neither did he come and visit Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala. But think about it, viewers of the channel. You know, what lesson have we been learning there? And again, before I continue, remember this, that story has been preserved for us. Over 100 years ago, that story has been preserved for us, and we have it here. And why? It is here so that we can see the mindset of Imam al-Sunnah Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, that his mindset was there, that no Muslims are greater than any others. No matter how rich you are, no matter what your status is, no matter how powerful you are, we're all effectively the same. And nowadays, viewers of the channel, if we look at ourselves, we treat people differently. We treat people differently depending on their status in the society, depending on their wealth, depending on what their standing is, what their position is. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, and I give you the translation from Kanzul Iman, indeed, the most honorable amongst you, according to Allah Azza wa Jalla, is the one who is the most pious amongst you. Indeed, Allah is all-knowing and all-aware. Allah Azza wa Jalla is all-knowing. Allah Azza wa Jalla is all-aware. I don't know who the most pious person is. And I remember, viewers of my channel, I went to a gathering once. And in this gathering, there was, I don't know, it was after one of the namaz that the Imam Sahib got up. And he asked a question. And he said, who is the most pious person in this gathering? And a lot of people looked around thinking that maybe, you know, some great scholar has come. Maybe we've got a guest of honor here. Who is it, yeah? Who is the most pious person in this gathering? And everybody looked and looked, and we thought, you know, we can't see anybody that, you know, stands out of the crowd, so to speak. And the Imam Sahib said, nobody knows. Nobody knows who the most pious person is in this gathering. Maybe that person that rushed to the masjid, he came here, he read his namaz, and then he rushed out of the masjid to earn an halal income. Maybe he was the most pious person that's visited this masjid today. Who knows? We don't know. So who are we to say that that person is greater than us? That person is less than us? That person demands more respect because of his status? And again, we need to be very careful on this, because nowadays we do. Whether we admit it or not, we give people a greater standing in society. For example, someone's ill. Someone's ill, they're in hospital. Now this person that's ill, he's a member of parliament. He's a successful businessman. He may not read his namaz 5 times a day. He may never go to the masjid, whatever. He may be a doctor, a lawyer, a barrister, but he's never seen the door of the masjid. And yet there's another person. He's a poor person that earns daily wages. Every day, whatever he earns, he spends on his family, and that's how he survives. But alhamdulillah, he reads his namaz 5 times a day. Both of these people are in the hospital. Who will get the most visitors? And why? Why? Why are we not visiting this pious person? Why are we giving this person more standing, more respect? Because of his position in the society. And again, that we shouldn't be doing this. As Sayyidina Ali Hazrat is teaching us there, that we are all equal, we're all equal in the sight of Allah. If there's anybody that is greater than anybody else, it's through their piety. And who are we to judge who is the most pious? So we should treat people equally. During the month of Ramadan, you get invited for iftari. Again, you're invited to a rich person's house. Or a person that looks up to you and gives you respect, invites you to their house. But you look up to this person because he's rich, because he's powerful, because he's got status in society. And so you go to his house and you say, no, I'm not coming to your house, I haven't got time. You buff him away. Is that how we should be? That is not how we should be, viewers of my channel. And there's many, many ways many examples we can give. We give the example of being ill and being in the hospital. We give the example of iftari. What happens when someone passes away? When someone passes away, if a person is related to, or in fact is a rich person, he's now passed away, was a rich person, was a great person in society, standing in society. When I say great person, I mean a great person in the eyes of people. Who's to say who's great in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal? We don't know. We don't know who's great in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal. We don't know who's the best in the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal. We do not know who's the most pious. But let's say, for example, that this person, he was an influential person in society. He was a member of parliament. He was a lawyer. He was a doctor. He was a barrister, or whatever he was. Or maybe it was his brother that had passed away, or something like that. And a normal person passes away. And again, I don't even know whether it's right to use the term normal person. Let's just say an elder person passes away who has not got that standing in society. How many people attend the namaz-e-janazah? And then what happens is when we attend the namaz-e-janazah, how are we? If we have a habit of attending namaz-e-janazahs full stop, then even then, there is a difference between the two. When it's the poor person, or the person that has little standing in society, or someone in his relatives that have passed away, we attend the namaz-e-janazah, we go right to the back, not because we know that there is sawab in reading namaz-e-janazah at the last row, but just because we can't be bothered, we want to be at the back. And then what happens is, when the namaz-e-janazah is finished, we disappear. But when it's a rich and influential person, one of his relatives have passed away, then we'll stay behind. And we'll also make sure with the front, we try and read a namaz-e-janazah at the front. We want everybody to see us, and we make sure that we're here. And then what happens is when they're seeing the body for the last time, when they're taking that glance at the body for the last time, we make sure that we are seen there. Not only do we make sure that we're seen, nowadays we'll put the hands on the coffin and we'll make sure someone takes our picture that we can put it on social media to show that we were at the funeral of such and such person. Yeah? And we'll make a crying face. And then what we'll do is we'll stand next to the person whose relative has passed away. Not for the intention of consoling him, not for the intention of making him feel better, but for the intention of saying that, oh, I'm here. Yeah? Why? Because he is a greater person in society? Is this the teachings of Sayyidina Ali Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala? Is this the teachings of the Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? No, it's not. We need to teach everybody equally, viewers of Madani Channel. And again, this is where we generally go wrong. We treat people differently, not on their character, not based on their character, not based on their piety, but on their standing in society, we treat them differently. If you treat someone with greater respect because they appear to be more pious, they appear to be reading the namaz more regularly, they are fasting during the month of Ramadan, you see them reading the Quran, doing the zikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, doing personal study, working for the deen, and you respect them for that purpose, that's all well and good. But if you're respecting a person in society, giving him a greater standing for any other reason, then ask yourself, is this right or wrong? Viewers of Madani Channel need to reflect on our lives. And these are the teachings that Sayyidina Ali Hazrat has gone to us. And this is why we retain these stories of the past so that we can learn from the past. Viewers of Madani Channel, we're just going to take a small break. We've now got a kalam for you to listen to, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal. Let's go to the kalam of the day. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Ya Mustafa, Ya Mujtaba, Khairul Wara, Salli ala, 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 Salli ala. رخ دن ہے یا مہر سما، رخ دن ہے یا مہر سما، یہ بھی نہیں وہ بھی نہیں، شب زلف یا مشک خطا، شب زلف یا مشک خطا، یہ بھی نہیں وہ بھی نہیں۔ صلی علی صلی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی صلی علی۔ بلبل نے گل ان کو کہا، بلبل نے گل ان کو کہا، قمرین سروے جاں فضا، قمرین سروے جاں فضا، حیرت نے جھنجھلا کر کہا، حیرت نے جھنجھلا کر کہا، یہ بھی نہیں وہ بھی نہیں۔ صلی علی 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 صلی علی۔ ہے بلبل رنگی رضا، ہے بلبل رنگی رضا، یا طوطیِ نغمہ سرا، یا طوطیِ نغمہ سرا، حق یہ کہ واصف ہے تیرا، حق یہ کہ واصف ہے تیرا، یہ بھی نہیں وہ بھی نہیں۔ صلی علی 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 صلی علی۔ رخ دن ہے یا مہر سما، رخ دن ہے یا مہر سما، یہ بھی نہیں وہ بھی نہیں، شب زلف یا مشک خطا، شب زلف یا مشک خطا، یہ بھی نہیں وہ بھی نہیں۔ صلی علی 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 صلی علی۔
Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Viewers of my channel, I hope you enjoyed that kalam as much as we did here in the studio. And again, I mentioned before that these kalams, they are written there for a reason. They are there to ultimately instill the love of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala in our hearts. And if we can understand them, we can understand the couplets, then inshaAllah azza wa jal, we can enhance the love that we have. And anything that's attributed or associated to the Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala, be it the city of Medina, be it the Sahaba Karam, or anything that's attributed to the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ultimately develop that love inside our hearts. So please make a habit of listening to them. And the other psychological effect of listening to these kalams is that when you listen to them, if you listen to them in the morning and you listen to one kalam all the way on to way to work, when you get to work, during the day, subconsciously you'll be reciting that kalam. Yeah? And that kalam will be on your lips and you'll get the tranquility and peace through listening to it. But if, unfortunately, you listen to other things that we really shouldn't be listening to, then again, during the days, then words will come on your lips. Maybe words of kufr will come on your lips. And it's, again, very, very careful what you should be listening to, because then words can come onto your lips. But anyway, I do apologize. Once again, I've been sidetracked with the topic. I have a bad habit with regards to this. Anyway, viewers of the channel, back to yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And today we're talking about the esteemed character of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala. And so far, we just mentioned one incident. There's a few more incidents that we can mention, inshallah, and we will mention them. Without further ado, mashallah, we have someone that's online with us, mashallah. He has been giving time. We have, mashallah, Shahbaz Madani online. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Shahbaz Madani, obviously we're talking about Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala, and we're talking today about this character. And I've mentioned to the viewers earlier on that, you know, the events of the past, whenever they are recorded or maintained, they are recorded and maintained for a reason. They're not just maintained and recorded so that we can have nice stories to tell each other and say, wow, that was an interesting story, wasn't it? They are there for a purpose that we can learn the lessons from them. And with regards to the character of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, I don't know if you can give us any motherly pearls with regards to that, but I'm hoping that you can give something to our viewers so that they can benefit from his life, his teachings, and make a change in their own lives for a better tomorrow, inshallah.
Khalid, just as you were speaking, I was just thinking, just pondering over the topic itself, the character of Ala Hazrat. Generally, when we think of character, we think of various types of people, various types of personalities. A famous term, in fact, I'm not going to mention the term because the association of the term is not so good, but they say people have shades. People have many different types of shades. People whose attitude, their character, it continues to change. And you get people like this, you know, they, from being happy and all smiley to within a moment, they will change to becoming angry. It could be something else. But the question is, Khalid Bhai, what would you consider to be a good character?
A good personality would, in my mind, would be somebody that I feel comfortable with sitting with, somebody that I can trust, somebody that I would not be afraid of, somebody that he will not embarrass me in front of other people as well, someone who, you know, who I can confide in, or somebody I can relate to and understand, someone that's not going to judge me by my shortcomings as well, and try to improve me and respect me for what I am.
Brilliantly mentioned. But Khalida, what we must understand is another person would have another opinion. We require an example, you can say, or we require for it to be told to us from an eternal being, which is undoubtedly the one and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who teaches us in the Quran, who is the greatest, who possesses the greatest of characters. And this is none other than the greatest of mankind, Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. So full stop right there, full stop. That the greatest of all personalities is undoubtedly Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. So now, whenever we think of good character, undoubtedly initially it's Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Khalid Bhai, another thing which generally nowadays we hear, that you are your choices, the choices you make is what determines who you are. Have you ever heard of this, Khalid Bhai?
Ji.
I was just thinking of this because I read something of Al Hazrat. This is the reason, and this came to mind. That, and how true is that too? Al Hazrat radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, what are his choices? Now there's many, but I would like to mention what Al Hazrat radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu himself states, that he loves three things, Khalid Bhai. Al Hazrat radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he loves three things. The first, he mentions that the first favorite thing is explaining or mentioning the Azmat al-Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, explaining and mentioning the greatness of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. This is his first favorite thing. Secondly, Allah Hazrat radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu mentions that I really enjoy defending the honor of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam from those sad individuals who may attempt to vilify the character of Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala wa sallam. And the third thing which Allah Hazrat mentions is that he loves giving verdicts in favor of the fiqh, Hanafi, the Ahnaf, the Islamic jurisprudence of the Ahnaf, that of Imam Azam Abu Hanifa radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Now, the beautiful thing, just something which came to my mind, what actually hit me here, was that out of all the things, and Allah Hazrat, Khalba, we've mentioned that in terms of his character, you could call him a poet. And initially, that's what we knew him as. Astrologists will say he's an astrologist. So yes, there's many characters there. All of them merge into one individual, into one personality. But if you were to consider it from the perspective of your choices determine who you are, Khalid Bhai, then after hearing his three choices, his three favorite things which he explains about himself, then what would you say about this individual? It's unimaginable, where three things, two of them, the first two, are relevant to Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alayhi wa sallam. First, mentioning the dignity, honoring Rasulullah, the greatness of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's his choice. He made a choice when one person came up to him and he says, you're such a brilliant poet. Why don't you write poetry in praise of Nanpara? This person who was a king of the time.
Yeah.
Why don't you praise him? Ala Hazrat, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he made a choice. And really this choice, I'm not sure if Khalid has already mentioned the story, but Ala Hazrat, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, there was nothing wrong if he was to in some way praise that person.
Yes.
There was no harm in this.
No.
But Ala Hazrat, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, made a choice. And what did he do? Rather than praising that person, he praised Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these are the choices of Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us from amongst the angels. There is the animals, there are the fish in the sea, there is the trees themselves, there's the jinn, there's all these sorts of beings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us from amongst the human and the jinn. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also given us a choice. Angels do not have a choice, we have a choice. And it is our choices that determine who we are. So I think the lesson is you need to decide who you are. You have the option. Your friend circle, yes, you have the option to decide who is your friend, who you should spend time with, who you should not spend time with. It is time for Isha Salah, it is time for Zohr Salah, wherever you're watching. Whatever Salah time it is, you have a choice to perform ablution and pray Salah, or to not pray that Salah.
Shabazz, by that we have this choice. But that choice, the reason why the seerah of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been preserved, the reason why all these hadiths have been preserved, the reason why all the lives and the events that took place of the pious predecessors, and today we're talking about Sayyidi Ala Hazrat, all these events have been taking place so that they can assist us in making them choices. That these are the choices that were made by those people that have been favored by Allah Azza wa Jal. These are the choices that were made by the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is how he treated his family. This is how he treated his wives. This is how he treated his children. This is how he treated his neighbors. This is how he treated them. So that from the reason why, I always say that the reason why all them events were preserved, so that we can learn from them. So like you rightly said, then we can make the choices. But the problem is Shabazz Bhai, is that you say making the right choice. You can only make the right choice if you know what is right and what is wrong. A lot of people don't know what is right and what is wrong. A lot of people, all right, for example, namaz. Namaz is an example where I always have this saying that every single Muslim that is alive knows that namaz is farz upon us. So that's another question, another topic, another day, that why don't we read our namaz? But that's another thing. But making life choices about certain things in our lives, unless we have that knowledge, and the problem is because we don't know about these pious predecessors, because we don't know about the seerah of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because we don't know anything about all of these events that took place, our role models again have been changed. Because you said that and obviously you're right, that the ideal character, the criterion that we should try and emulate, try and follow in the footsteps is the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But you can only follow his footsteps if you know something about him. What is happening now is in society today, we're taking role models that are non-Islamic, that are whatever they are, and I'm not even going to go into that topic, that's a separate topic whatsoever. And because we take them individuals as our role models, we try and follow them footsteps because we think that that is the right way. And the reason why we think that that is the right way is because we've not been shown the right way, if you know what I mean. And I think that's the problem that we're feeling in society today, that our youngsters as on a whole, I think if you were to, Shabazz Bhai, if you were to, and I've used this example before, and I'll mention it to you now, that if you were to get any teenager and ask them to name 10 football players, they could do it, 10 cricketers, they could do it, 10 film stars, they could do it, get a little bit of our older generation, 10 politicians, they could do it, but ask them to name the Ashra Mubashra, ask them to name 10 companions of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ask them to name 10 prophets, and they would struggle, because they have not been equipped with that guidance and that knowledge of these true role models of the past. And because of that, they're taking these cricketers, these football players, these film stars, these politicians as their role models and copying their lifestyles, because they think that that is the ideal lifestyle.
Yes, you see, Khalid Bhai, another part to this is they only hear through words. They never really experience. Now, when it comes to, you mentioned, football players or whatever it is, they are seeing something. The people around them, there's the environment. But when it comes to mentioning the names of the Ashara Mubashara, if I was to mention their names, I would have to think as well. I wouldn't be able to mention them straight away. Why? Because they are figures, something I've read. So sometimes it is a bit difficult to retain such information, things which you've only read. And so what we need to learn from this, Khalid Bhai, is that we need to make our deen part of our lives. At this moment, it's just a religion to us. It's just a religion, something we have to do after school.
I've gone further than that and said, Shabazz, but I've said to that, Madani Channel, that for a lot of people, our deen, Islam, is a hobby. And a hobby is something like, like you take up cycling or you take up something and all of a sudden you're really, really active. You go cycling every single day and you don't miss it. And then all of a sudden you miss 1 day, 2 days, and then you don't go cycling for 6 months. And then after 6 months, you start cycling again. Islam has become a hobby to us. We live our lives, rather than revolving around Islam, Islam revolves around our life, so to speak, that when we get time, we'll read our namaz. When we get time, we'll read a book. When we get time, we'll do something for the deen. Only when we get time. Otherwise, we're not bothered.
Yes, that's exactly how it is. One thing I would like to mention is, in terms of such characters, we mentioned Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But I think you could never, this is for the audience, you could never truly grasp who Ala Hazrat radiallahu ta'ala anhu was.
Sorry, Shabazz, but all we're trying to do here is, there's a saying in English, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink it, yeah? What we're trying to do here is we're trying to make you thirsty to drink that knowledge, yeah? In the same way that you can lead a horse to water, you cannot force it to drink it. But if you make the horse really, really thirsty, then when it sees that water, it'll drink it. And that's what we're trying to do with our viewers, make our viewers thirsty so that they can get a glimpse or a gist of these people of the past, so that then they'll go away and read up about them, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, remember us in your du'as and hope to see you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Viewers of Madani Channel, you're watching yesterday, today and tomorrow. And today we just introduced a little bit of one event with regards to the esteemed character of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala. And Shabazz Madani, mashallah, gave us a bit of time and talked about how we have life choices. And life is all about choices. And as you get older, and I'm getting a bit older now, as you get a bit older, you look back on your life and you'll be able to relate to certain events. And you'll say to yourself that, I wanted to do this, but I ended up doing that. And then you thank Allah Azza wa Jal, that Allah Azza wa Jal kept you on this path rather than that path. And I look back at my life, and yes, we've all made mistakes in our lives. We've all made mistakes in our life. But I look at certain events in my life and I think to myself that Allah Azza wa Jal has blessed me with these opportunities, blessed me with an opportunity to be introduced to the environment of Dawah Islami. And like Shabazz Madani says, yes, it is a choice. To attach yourself to the environment of Dawah Islami is a choice, but at least we need to thank Allah Azza wa Jalla that choice was given to us. The opportunity was given to us. And if we take the opportunity, then we need to thank Allah Azza wa Jalla for giving us all of these opportunities that Allah Azza wa Jalla has blessed us with. We're going to take a small break now, and I believe we're going to learn some sunnahs, inshaAllah Azza wa Jalla. Again, something that we need to learn, not only learn, pass on to others, but also implement in our whole lives as well. Let's go to this small break, inshallah. And when we come back, we're going to again continue to talk about the esteemed character of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat. Let's go to the break. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. My dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, today we will learn manners, etiquette and few sunnahs of leaving and entering home, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal. But before we proceed ahead, I would like to mention that please remember, we cannot say any act is sunnah unless or until we are sure about that. So in this video, whatever we're going to explain, inshaAllah, remember some would be sunnah, few Madani pearls are also included, which are etiquette and manners. Whenever you are going to leave your house, remember to recite a beautiful dua. Bismillahi tawakkaltu ala Allahi la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Translation: in the name of Allah, I have put my trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. There is no power to abstain from evil or might to do good except from Allah. Dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, by the blessing of this beautiful dua, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal, you will stay on the right path. You will be protected from calamities and you will be bestowed with the help of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. What a beautiful way of leaving your home, putting your trust in Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, inshallah, and you will be protected, inshallah Azza wa Jal. Dear respected viewers of Madani Channel, when you enter home, so there is also a beautiful dua. So what is that dua? Allahumma inni as'aluka khayral mawlaji wa khayral makhraj. Bismillahi walajna wa bismillahi kharajna wa ala Allahi rabbina tawakkalna. And the translation is, O Allah, I ask you for the goodness of entering and exiting. We enter the home with the name of Allah and exit the home with the name of Allah. And we put our trust in Allah Azza wa Jal, our Rabb Azza wa Jal. And after you recite this dua, say salam to your household. So as soon as you walk inside your house, so you should say first salam to the family members. Then present salam to beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Then recite Surah Ikhlas, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal. There will be blessing in your sustenance and protection from domestic disputes. So there's a solution of domestic disputes also. So what you have to do, you have to recite the dua, right? Enter home with saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, shaitan will not be able to enter with you. And then you have to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu to your family members. Then you should recite salat upon Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam and recite Surah Ikhlas. Insha'Allah Azza wa Jal, there will be blessing in your sustenance, there will be barakah in your rizq and protection from domestic disputes. I hope you have understood the method. Say salam to maharim and mahrimat, i.e. your father, mother, brother, sister, children and wife, etc. upon entering and leaving home. The one who enters the home without reciting the name of Allah, for example, without reciting Bismillah, right, what will happen? Shaitan will also enter with him. If you enter a home where no one is present, even if it is your own home, then say Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi s-salihin. Translation: Salam be upon us and the righteous bondsmen of Allah. The angels will reply to this salam, subhanallah. Or say the following: Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Dear respected viewers, if you are going to someone else's house, then you should take permission before entering. You should knock the door 3 times. If you are permitted, well and good. Otherwise, leave without feeling any bad in your heart. And remember, when you knock the door and someone inside asks, who is that? You should not say, it's me, open the door, or sentences, phrases like that. Rather, you should mention your name, like Rizwan, or whatever it is, the name. Upon visiting someone's house, do not criticize the arrangements of their home unnecessarily. It may hurt their feelings. And if you visit someone's house when you're leaving, you should make dua for them. May Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala give us tawfiq and ability that we act upon the sunnahs of leaving and entering home. If you travel in Madani Qafile, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal, you will be able to learn these beautiful duas, what we have learned. And remember to enter home with these beautiful mentioned sunnahs, etiquette and manners. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma inni as'aluka خير المولج وخير المخرج بسم الله ولجنا بسم الله خرجنا وعلى الله ربنا توكلنا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Now, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله توكلت على الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. MashaAllah. Viewers of the channel, a very informative package there for us of how we should enter and leave the house and the sunnahs entering and leaving the house. And again, you know what was that? 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes? Yes, 5 minutes. And I hope and pray that we learn something in them 5 minutes. Just think, if you were to travel in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal, be a guest in the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, the masjid for 3 days. Yes, 3 days. What would you learn? 12 days, 30 days, 12 months. If you were to travel in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal, how much would you learn? And all right, even if you say to me, oh, I cannot do that. If you were to every day, every Saturday, I'll give you a little task to do. Every Saturday, switch on Madani Channel around 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock. And inshaAllah Azza wa Jal, the Madani Muzakara will take place, in which Amil Sunnat will be, questions will be asked and answers will be given. And again, you'll learn so much. So it just goes to show in such a short space of time, we can learn so much if only we wish to try and learn. And if we can act upon that knowledge that we've acquired, then inshaAllah we will see a change in our lives, a change in our households, a change in our environment, a change in the society, and inshaAllah a change in the whole world. And that is the mission statement of the Islamic viewers of that I must strive to rectify myself and rectify the people of the whole world, inshaAllah. And in that in mind, today we're talking about the character of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala. And if you think about the character of individuals viewers of the channel, before we give you another example of Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, and Shabazz Madri was talking about character earlier on, that if you look at the history of Islam, when I'm talking about the history, I'm not talking about pious predecessors, I'm not talking about individuals, I'm not talking about battles, I'm not talking about events, I'm not talking about kingships, I'm talking about how people came into the fold of Islam. Now, did they come into the fold of Islam by studying the Quran from cover to cover? Did they come into the Quran by comparing the Quran to science or comparing the Quran to other religious books? No. That's not what happened, viewers of the channel. In the majority of the cases, and I could probably say, although we don't have the figures, I would say that more than 90%, and probably even higher than that, 95, and maybe even higher than that, the majority of people that came into the fold of Islam came into the fold of Islam by you, looking at you, looking at the person that they met in front of them. Each and every one of us is an ambassador of Islam. Each and every one of us is a representative of Islam. If we do good, people think, not only people think that we are good, but they think Islam is good as well. If we do bad, then people just don't think that Khalid is bad, they think Islam is bad generally as well. And again, make sure that they say that if you cannot be part of the solution, then at least don't be part of the problem. That live your life in such a way that your character is such that although maybe you're not proactively going out there calling people to the deen of Islam, but don't do anything that when people see you will think, I don't want to be a Muslim because of this person. Look at him. If that's what Islam is, I don't want to be that. At least don't be like that. And the character of these people of the past, these pious predecessors, how they successful was, no matter what knowledge they had, no matter what books they gave, each and every one of our pious predecessors, going back all the way to the ideal character, the Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, going back to the ideal character, every one of them had an ideal character, a character that we could follow and aspire to. And it's this character that brought people close to the deen of Islam. And we're talking about Sayyid Ala Hazrat, and we're just going to give a few more examples today in this short program. And like Shahbaz Madani says that really we cannot educate you about Sayyid Ala Hazrat. People are going away and doing PhDs and degrees on this topic now, but we can at least create a little bit of interest where the name Ala Hazrat is something that's mentioned on the Friday. The Imam mentions his name. I don't know who he is. And I'm hoping that through these series of programs, we can generate a little bit of interest and we can go away and learn something. There was a certain event that took place where Haji Kafayatullah, rahmatullah ta'ala, he realized the hardships of Sayyid Ala Hazrat when he used to go to the masjid. Because when the monsoon season came and it was raining a lot, then obviously he still made sure that he never missed his Jamaat. Now before I go on with the story there, there's a message there for us that no matter what the weather was like, no matter what the situation was like, Sayyid Ala Hazrat always made sure he went and read his namaz with Jamaat. And it said that when he read his namaz, he made proper preparations for it. And he said he would wear a cloak when he was reading namaz, no matter how hot it was, no matter what the condition was. And he would make sure that his Imam al-Sharif was perfect and everything was perfect before he read his namaz. And rain did not stop him from going and reading his namaz. Nowadays, even though we have cars, we have modes of transport, we look at it and say, oh, it's raining, forget it, I won't bother going to the masjid. Sayyid Ala Hazrat, even when it was raining, he made sure that he always went to the masjid and read his Jamaat. And Haji Kafayatullah, he realized that when he was going to the masjid every day, he was facing hardship because he was in the rainy season and obviously he was getting wet. And obviously when you're in the rain and it's raining upon you, then it can affect your health and it can affect all sorts of things. And so what he did is, he got an umbrella. He bought an umbrella, and not only did he gift it to Sayyid Ala Hazrat, but he also used to carry the umbrella with him, and he'd go with him to the masjid and he'd go with him home. So now Sayyid Ala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala was under this umbrella, and he was taking the benefits from him, and the rain wasn't affecting him, and he was able to easily get to the masjid and easily get home. Only a few days had passed, and a needy person saw that Sayyid Ala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala had an umbrella. And he said, Huzur, can I have this umbrella? I need an umbrella, And rather than Sayyid Ala Hazrat saying, well, I need it as well. Yeah, I need it as well. I can see it's raining. You can see it. Don't I need the umbrella? No. He immediately took the umbrella out of the hands of Haji Kafayatullah rahmatullah ta'ala, and he gave it to this needy person. Straight away he gave it him. Straight away, because why did he do this? Why did he do this? Because he realized the blessings in helping the needs of others. And this is the beauty of our deen, viewers of Madani Channel. That Allah through the deen of Islam has taught us to sympathize with each other. It teaches us to look after each other. It teaches us to give gifts to each other. Yes, this is part of the Sunnah of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by giving gifts to each other. And we are told that when you go somewhere, you go and visit someone, when you come back, then come back with a gift, even if it's some stones from that place, and come back with gifts. And we see here that Sayyid Ala Hazrat, he gave him as a gift. Not only that, he gave him a gift that he himself needed. It wasn't just a gift, oh, I finished that cup now, I don't need it now, I can give it to somebody. And you see people nowadays that they've worn clothes, yeah? They've worn it 5 or 6 times, they don't like him anymore, so also I'll gift it to the poor people. Yeah? Because I don't need them anymore, so I'll gift it to the poor people. But you don't need it anymore. But in this particular case, Sayyid Ala Hazrat rahmatullah is teaching us a lesson that he needed this. But no, he gifted it. And the Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala sallam said, listen to this hadith, views of the channel. We're coming towards the end of the program, I'm afraid. Allah Azza wa Jal forgives the one who desires for something and then abandons his desire, giving priority to the other person over himself. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. But again, how many of us will do that? How many of us will do that? How many of us will give priority to other people? How many of us will even go out of our way to help other people? I'll give you an example. You're going on Friday, you're going to the masjid. You're in your car. Yeah? And you see someone. Because what happens is when the time of Jummah is approaching, then Muslims from all different angles are coming towards the masjid, alhamdulillah, converging towards the Muslim. So you see people walking. You know that they're going to the masjid. Do you stop and offer them a lift? Let alone do you stop and say, hey, you drive my car, I'll walk. No, we don't do that. We don't even offer them a lift. Yeah? We don't care for others. It's raining, it's pouring, so what? I've got my car, I'm all right. I'm all right, Jack, I don't care about anybody else. Islam doesn't teach us to this. Islam doesn't teach us this. Islam teaches us that look at the needs of others, look at what other people require, go out of your way to help people. And if we adopt this in our life, this character in our life, then people will come closer to us. And like I said to you, viewers of the channel, many people have come forward, come and accepted the fold of Islam through this. And Sayyidina Hazrat, he had such an esteemed character that no matter who was in front of him, if he realized he was wrong or he felt that he was wrong, he didn't think to himself, oh, I'm such a great alim, I'm the greatest scholar of my time. No, no matter what. And there was an incident, I'm going to finish with this, although I know time is coming to an end, viewers of the channel. There was an incident that took place once where Sayyidina Hazrat, in the time of, he was fasting in the month of Ramadan, he was in itikaf, and a child was supposed to bring him a pan every day, and he brought it in late. And one day when he brought it in late, Sayyidina Hazrat tapped his head. That, why did you bring it late? He didn't hit him, he just tapped him on the head. And afterwards he thought to himself, well, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. Maybe it's the fault of the person that's called him back. So he called for that child to be brought, and he sought forgiveness from that child. Not only did he sought forgiveness from that child, but he took his own blessed imamah off, and he said to the child, you hit me. Hit me on the head where I hit you. And the child was shocked. And Sayyidina Hazrat grabbed hold of his hand and made him hit him on his head. Again, a lesson there. A lesson for us that if we are in error, if we have made a mistake, then it doesn't matter who is in front of us, seek forgiveness. So viewers of my channel, we come to the end of the program, and unfortunately we've only touched on a few aspects of the life of Sayyidina Hazrat. And as Shahbaz Madani said, and rightly he said, that we can only scratch the surface. I hope that as a result of these programs and other programs on Madani Channel, one, we learn something about the lives of these pious predecessors, but we also go away and learn more. Read their lives and learn from the lessons of the past, so that we can make a change today and we can have a better tomorrow. Keep watching Madani Channel. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
The special favor of Allah. Allah. The universe is the body and its soul.